Hey there, my name's Will Smith, and along with my wife Alicia, we pastor at Connect Church in Caboolture, and we're going to be partnering with a number of different people to do these little bites of encouragement, of inspiration, and a little bit of challenge, but an invitation really for you to take those next steps into living your God-shaped influence. Today I'm just going to share a little bit around how I'm feeling, and maybe you can relate a little bit. And I get this picture of like a tinny out in the middle of an ocean, and it's starting to rock around a bit, and I throw the anchor over trying to help stabilize it, but it's not quite finding ground. It's not quite stabilizing. I'm just feeling that little bit off kilter, and I look at things and I realize that I've probably eased off the intention just that little bit in my world, and it's having a big impact in my life. But the good news is there is a remedy. I'm going to share with you just what I'm looking at, what I'm implementing right now. I'm just going to start with this scripture in Hebrews 6:18-20. And it says that we can take courage that God does not lie. It's good news, right? And we can have hope that Christ is our consolation and that He is an anchor for our souls. There we go. The anchor for our souls is Christ. Now, if we have a look at the fact that God cannot lie, God says He loves us, that there is great stability in that alone, is resting in the love of God. And in Romans 5:8, it shows the proof of that. It says that God has shown His love for us in that He sent Christ whilst we were still sinners. Christ lived a life experiencing all the temptation we ever would and all of the shame and guilt, and He took on sin and shame. And He wore the distancing from God, and He experienced betrayal and frustration, all the things that we ever could, plus more that we won't. And this is who we can have hope and have an anchor in. And He actually sympathizes with us. He understands what we're going through. The Bible in some parts refer to Him as our cornerstone that we can rest on, that we can build a life on. That, you know what, all scripture actually references and points to Christ. We can look in the Old Testament and it's foreshadowing different characters, giving a limited version of what Christ is going to fulfill in full, and prophecies. And we see in the New Testament, first in the Gospels, Christ fulfilling the prophecies and also showing how we can live a life, also how He endured the cross and the temptation, the challenges, but also how the church established themselves on Christ and the promise and assurance that He's coming again. Why? For relationship. God is crazy in love with us, and it's about relationship. It's not just about ticking boxes and all these rules and following, do this, do that, but it's following the rules under the leading of relationship. It's that love that God has for us that drives Christ into reaching out for relationship with us. And when we look at it in that context, you can see in Hebrews 11:6, it says that God rewards those that diligently seek Him. And I realized there's a bit of intention that I can bring in, is that diligently seeking Him. And so in my devotion time this morning, I was reading in Matthew 15, and first there was a story of this lady that kept harassing Jesus for this miracle. She was a foreigner, see, and Jesus is trying to say, hey, look, I've been sent for these people, my people, not the foreign people, and you're trying to steal off them. He goes as far as to call this woman a little dog. But she's not like you and me. She's not looking for a reason to get offended. And she's not just melting under this rebuke. But she goes, you know what? I want this miracle. I'm desperate for it. And she says, even the little children get the crumbs from the master's table. I'm not here to steal from anyone, but I'm desperate. I'm diligently seeking this miracle. And directly after it is another incredible miracle. Jesus feeds 4,000 people. But the bit that jumped out at me today is it said that people had been with Jesus now 3 days and had not eaten. And He had them in the wilderness. There was nowhere else for them to be able to get food from. Some really good news for us, friend, is maybe we feel like we're in a wilderness situation, but if we're with Jesus, He's going to provide for us. Maybe we feel like an unworthy little dog, but if we reach out and we diligently seek, we will receive the miracle. We will receive the reward. And I love that even in the wilderness situation, and maybe we're just feeling like we're in the middle of a wilderness right now, a little bit lost. But when Jesus is there, there is provision plus more. And the key there is relationship, right? We talked about that before. It's not to be one-sided. It's not to be about how I fulfill my needs and get what I need from God, but how do I diligently seek Him? How do I make sure this is that two-way relationship that is going to be a good relationship? And so maybe for you, that's spending time in prayer and developing that connection with God. Maybe this week it's showing your love for God in other people by maybe paying for some groceries for someone, or maybe like me, you just need to get a love and passion for delving into Scripture and seeing it point to Christ and recapturing your love for Him and seeing His love for you. And some great tools are doing that in the Bible. YouVersion is a cool app you can download, really easy. It's got Bible reading plans. You can even bring your friends in and read together while you stay in isolation. And there's even audio ones. I love those ones as well. Or maybe just flick through the Bible, find something, and then research it. But whatever that is, I'm challenging you today is take that next step in discovering your God-shaped influence. Maybe for you, that's making a decision to say yes to Christ for the first time, or maybe returning to Him, or maybe just delving that little bit deeper and seeing His love shine in you. I just want to leave you with this scripture, and it's a great promise that we can find in Hebrews 3:5, and it reflects back on something that was said in the Old Testament. It says that He'll never leave us nor forsake us, and that the Lord is our help in time of need. Don't you forget that. Don't you forget His love for you. Find your anchor, that hope for your soul. Rest it firmly on the cornerstone of Christ, and have an incredible and powerful week. I'll talk to you soon.